Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of Herschel Talkers. Make sure, please, like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Trying to get those subscriptions up. Tonight, we got a special guest, old friend of the show, former UGA great wide receiver Sean Bailey. How we doing today, Sean?
Doing great. Thanks for asking.
No problem. We'll jump right into it. Georgia coming off a sluggish, I thought 14-3 victories, one of those kind of get into Lexington, get out. But 14-3, Stetson Bennett struggled. He only had, I think he had 2 picks, only threw. He was 19 of 13. Zamir White had a really good game, 26 carries, 136 yards. I thought it was really vanilla. I was saying to my friend, I was watching it with a friend, it was like a big old bowl of vanilla. And it reminded me of like a Wisconsin, Iowa, 12 o'clock Big Ten game. But it's frustrating just because we knew we had Florida and then we had all the injuries. But what was your overall thoughts of the Georgia-Kentucky game?
Yeah, I mean, naturally as a fan, you'd love to see a little bit more explosion on offense. We know, that our defense is going to be a tone setter. So they showed up and they did what they were supposed to do. But, as a fan, you look forward and you're like, hey, is this offense, good enough to beat Florida? Is it good enough to compete with Alabama if we make it back to the SEC championship game? And quite honestly, you just don't know. There's a lot of doubt out there. And then on the flip side, as a former player, you look at it kind of from different lens. You look at it as, hey, this is SEC football, and you got to be week to week, and you can't be too upset that you go on the road in the SEC and you get a win. A lot of times you want to play this, but you can never underestimate a win. And this is a week to week league. This is a tough league. Kentucky's a great team. And you're just thankful for the win and know you have another opportunity to get better the following week.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It is a win, 4-1, but I guess, us recruiting and having the momentum with Kirby, that we got a higher bar. But I know most fans, most fan bases would love 4-1, but I feel like we get a little spoiled as Georgia fans, but it is a win's a win at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah, and then, rolling into the cocktail party this week, big matchup. I believe it's 3.5-point spread. I know a lot of people are kind of saying, for Georgia, why are they favored? But I think we match up really good with Florida. So get your thoughts on that, and what are some of the key matchups for the Georgia-Florida game? Number 8 Florida against number 5 Georgia.
Yeah, but really the thing that kind of scares me and that I'm a little worried about in upset of the circumstances is with LeCount being out. He was a great matchup for Florida's great tight end. That tight end's a matchup nightmare. And I think LeCount was going to be able to contain him. I'll be curious to see. This is what Kirby gets paid for. He's a defensive-minded coach, so I'll be curious to see what he works up, what kind of schemes he works out to try to contain that. Because I think really that's the only thing offensively that Florida has that I really worry about. Of course, Florida's going to put up points, and this isn't going to be a game where our defense is going to be able to contain them to 3 points. So we're going to have to get offensive production. My biggest thing was, the injuries and the off-field injury with account of the defenses. Are we going to be able to kind of reload with the guys that are going to be coming to step up in those guys' places?
Yeah, I think another matchup, I guess he's been trending up, is it the Tony kid, forget his last name, the wide receiver. He's similar to Waddle. I think he might be a bad matchup. But I guess in the other, getting your thoughts, so the big elephant in the room all year, as I've been calling it, is Stetson Bennett. No, he's not originally what we thought, but what's been your thoughts on him? And do you think, let's say, for example, if Georgia gets down in this game, would Kirby make a change, or you think he's just going to roll with the mailman no matter what? What's been your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, for one, as a fan base, we have to look at Stetson and we have to appreciate what he's done and what he's done. He's overachieved. He wasn't highly recruited. He's not a big time guy. He's shorter in stature. So from him to get the limited reps that he got in camp and to come in and play like he did in Arkansas and versus Auburn, and have us, still ranked in the top 10, still 4-1. We have to be appreciative, and we can't continue to dog him. It's, in my opinion, it's up to those other guys. It's up to DeJuan Mathis. It's up to JT Daniels to show in practice, to show Kirby, to give him the faith to put him in there. Trust me, Kirby wants to win. He wants to win worse than anybody out there, and he's doing what's in the best interest of the team and what he sees as the best interest of the team. So if those guys gave him any kind of inkling that they were ready to supersede what we're getting out of Stetson, he would do it. Now, with that being said, on the flip side, I think to win those close games, I don't know if Florida's going to be there. Florida could be there. But to win versus Alabama, to win versus Clemson, to win versus Ohio State, we're going to need more productivity than I think we can get out of Stetson. He has a ceiling of where he's going to play if we're being real. And JT and DeJuan, one of those guys has to step up, sooner than later to really get us to where we want to go. I'm going to root for Stetson as long as he's in there, and I hope if he's the guy that goes the rest of the season that he proves me wrong. But in my heart of hearts, to win versus the elite, Stetson's potential, he has a glass ceiling, and it's not quite where we need to be able to compete with those guys.
Yeah, I completely agree. So let's say, for example, there was an injury. Let's say he went out with like a concussion or ankle injury. Who do you think would be the one to come in?
Based off of what I read and the reps and how everything's being distributed right now, it looks like DeJuan is second. I was reading, Kirby's thoughts and on the quarterback situation. And he mentioned that JT is going down with the scout team, which means DeJuan is staying up with the first team offense and getting those second team reps.
Right.
So, I'm not privy. I haven't been out to practice, and so I don't know if there's still limitations and there's still stuff going on where JT's not fully mentally there because of the injury or fully physically there because of the injury. But for whatever reason, he's third on the totem pole if you read in between the lines. So as of right now, I think it would be DeJuan that comes in if we go that route.
Right. And looking at the matchup, I think I mentioned to you earlier, what do you think some of the key matchups on Georgia's offensive side of the ball to be successful? Another stat I wanted to throw this interesting. I know every year is different, but the last 14 times at the cocktail party, whichever team rushes the ball the most with the most rushing yards has won, which was interesting. I think that favors Georgia. Of course, Florida is favored on the passing. And do you think I believe Pickens, actually from the insider notes on 247, appears he's trending like he's going to play, but do you think he could be similar on the X receiver position to maybe kind of be a mimic or be similar to Lawrence Cager, who had a huge game last year? I believe it was 7 receptions, 132 yards, and 2 big touchdowns. Do you think maybe we can go to Pickens more, get him going?
Yeah, with him, it's the biggest thing is health. We have to get him healthy. We have to make sure he's healthy and he can do what he can do when he gets out there. He's a matchup nightmare. And then we have to develop a number two because right now, teams are bracketing and they're rolling their coverage to him and trying to eliminate him, right, knowing that there are limitations on our quarterback. So they can stack the box and they can focus on him. Where if we can get a Jermaine Burton or another young guy to step up opposite of Pickens, it'll allow Pickens to open up. And then to what you described, Georgia, face it, we're not quite where we want to be in the passing game, so we rely on the run game to set up the pass game. So if we can get that run game going early and we can get that play action going and get Pickens a couple targets early, that'll allow Monken to be a little bit more balanced and open things up where we don't have to solely rely on that run and get into those things where we're running on first, running on second, and throwing on third.
All right, I completely agree. And do you think the whole thing coming back to, I know a lot of people are trending, Florida for this game, but how about the whole, Kirby Smart's pretty much on Dan Mullen, beat him 3 straight times, back even to Mississippi State when they came in highly ranked and we blasted them. I think it was 37-3, beat him the last 2 years. Do you think the whole Kirby versus Dan Mullen is going to be able to help us out?
I mean, there's it can go both ways. It's not to the point where Florida had us for a long time. There was a period of time in the 90s, early 2000s, where it was a mental block because they had won 7 or 8 or 9 consecutive games, and you start to think about it. We've won a few in a row. So I still think it's at the point where it's not a mental block for Florida. If anything, it's a chip on their shoulder. Now, if we win another, 2 or 3 in a row, it's going to start to be a mental thing where they start to question themselves and start to get tight, during that week of practice and all that stuff. But I think at this point, Florida's hungry and they want to rewrite this script and not let it get to that point. So I think Florida's going to come in super motivated. They've been talking for a good little while. Mullen's a confident coach who has a little bit of swag and arrogance to himself. So they're not at the point where they're looking at this thing as a lopsided rivalry or anything like that.
Right. I completely agree. What'd you think about him dressing up as Darth Vader last week? Did you see that?
I did. I think that's cool. I think it's the heartbeat of your team. You know what gets your team fired up, and you got to do little things here and there just to break up the monotony of everything and kind of add some fun. Football's supposed to be fun first and foremost. So I think that does it for your players.
Did you think that was a bad look, him getting fined $25,000 and kind of getting in the middle of the fight last week, or?
No, $25,000 is a drop in the bucket for him. It gets his fan base going. It brings some support from his fan base because one of the things about Coach Rick, I love Coach Rick to death, and I'll support him forever. But our fan base got kind of tired of him being monotone, kind of being cool, calm, and collected all the time. This is something that fires up your team, fires up your fan base, and shows that you have a little bit of an edge to yourself. So. The $25,000 means nothing to him. I think he got more, whatever you want to call it, street cred or credibility from his team and then from his fan base as well. So I think the $25,000 was worth it for him.
Yeah, I agree with him. I guess I'm not a really big Dan Mullen fan, but just because he's a Gator guy. But I can agree with that. I like that he's trying to get his team up. They got a chip on their shoulder. I know they've been through a lot with going through COVID and everything like that. So
right.
I can agree with that.
Right.
And then, so give us your prediction, and I'll give you mine. What's your it's -3.5. So what's your final prediction for the game?
Yeah, I think it's going to be 24 to 18, Georgia.
I like it. I think Georgia's going to have to put up some points. I've always said north of 30, maybe similar to the Alabama game, but I'm going to go 35-31 Georgia. I think Stetson Bennett hopefully will have a good game. Won't turn the ball over. It's going to be key, and we'll be able to run on them. But I think they'll kind of get theirs, and maybe Chris Smith and Nakobe Dean can shift over and try to contain Pitts.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping.
Nice. Good stuff.
So 25-18, I got 35-31. And then talk a little recruiting. First off, I know you're close with him. Any update on Dominique Blaylock? I heard, it's terrible that he had a torn ACL earlier in the year. I believe it was during the summer. But any update on that?
Yeah. He's an unbelievable kid. He has the right mindset. Everything from him is completely positive. The minute it happened, you take a second to take a deep breath, and then he's right back to focus on getting better. He knows he's going to come back from it. And then there's a rich history of guys. One of the best guys to look at is Thomas Davis, another Georgia guy who tore his 3 times.
Wow.
And has come back every single time. And I think he might be in his 14th or 15th season this year in the NFL, and he's still going strong. So Dom is a strong-minded kid. He has a really good support system, and he's going to attack it, and he's going to be better than ever once he gets fully healthy.
That'd be awesome. Think you'll possibly ready in the spring or maybe towards next year, summer of next year?
Yeah, I think they'll be a little bit. I think he'll be ready, 9-10 months, but I think they'll be a little bit more conservative this time. They'll probably wait until camp time to really clear him. And get them there. It's one of those things where it happened so early. It happened in fall camp that you don't have to rush anything. You can take your time and get a real full 12 months of rehab in and not really have to push it along. Go at a smart, more conservative timeline.
Right. That's great. Good news. It'd be good to have him next year. And looking at the 2021 commits, know your wide receiver, so your expertise. So how about these guys, Adonai Mitchell and Jason Meeks, who I think he killed it against Hoover, kind of under the radar guy, but having a really good year. Have you seen video on these guys? And do you feel like Georgia maybe seeing Waddle this year and maybe even Tony that maybe Georgia's like that kind of 4-3, 4-4 guy away, kind of like a Mecole Hardman? Away from being like maybe an elite offense. Feel like we got some solid receivers, but really no game breakers.
Yeah, to be honest, I've heard names and I've seen ratings and all that stuff, but I haven't really gotten into the film stuff yet. I plan on doing that here in the next month or so. To look at these guys and see what they get. But I can definitely speak to what we need going forward. We need, like you said, that we need that Mecole Hardman. We need that take the top off the defensive type of player, to really be explosive and really be get the production we need. The football has changed so much in the last 5 to 7 years. It's really an offensive based game now, and great offenses are beating great defenses. You look at Alabama, you look at our defense, Georgia's defense. It's hard to stop the most productive offense. When the offense knows where they're going and what they're doing, the defense is reacting. So you see Alabama, playing Ole Miss and giving up 40-something points. Georgia's defense is the top defense in the country and giving up those points to Alabama. So the key is for Kirby as a defensive-minded coach is to put that extra energy into getting those explosive offensive positions. And I think we do a great job at the running back. We always have a solid line. What we need is 2 or 3 game changers at that wide receiver position. And when we get that, it's going to be scary what Georgia does.
I know he's been injured, but I think he was in practicing this week. He could be a guy. Is it Adrian Smith? Did you watch anything on him? I heard he runs like a 4.3, maybe a 10 by 100. Did you get to watch him?
Yeah, I followed him a lot last year. He's a track guy. The thing about Georgia and about our offense and where we are right now is you got to be physical. You have to be in the weight room. We got Zamir and we got Cook and we got McIntosh. So we are going to run the ball. So when you get in there, you can't be a liability in the run game. So that's probably the only knock on him is he weight room strong enough? Does he have enough mass on him to compete down in and down out with these SEC defenses? But I'm looking forward for him to see what he can do because he has that speed and that game changing ability.
All right. And how about, I know this is the 3rd straight year we've had offensive coordinator. What's been your thoughts on Montkin so far? I felt like earlier in the year you could kind of tell he had that air raid at times, but I felt like last week it was just Kirby probably told him, hey, we're going to run the ball and lean on him, chop wood, as he says. Do you agree with that? Or can you kind of tell any difference from James Coley last year to this year with Todd Monken?
Yeah. I think, to be honest, it's going to really be hard. And maybe towards the end of the season, we'll have a little better feel. But you have to think about how complicated his offense is. And as an NFL game, the verbiage, the terminology, the different things that he does. And to not have a spring, not really have a summer, have a limited off season, he hasn't been able to put his full offense in. And then on top of that, you're breaking in and you're splitting reps with 3 or 4 quarterbacks. So you don't know who your guy is. And when you divide the reps by 4 guys, you really can't put in, everything that you want in that limited amount of time. Then when you have to divide the reps up. So I think it's one of those things where we're going to have to be patient. This year, we want to get as much as we can out of this team, and this team is a special team that can make the college playoff for sure. So we don't want to write this season off. But it's going to be next year that we really find out and see, what his offense is really about and the different things that he can do. He'll have all these quarterbacks coming back. He'll have a spring practice. He'll have summer to go through. And then we'll know more. But from what I see, I like right now he's balanced. He's about 50-50 pass run. A couple games have been a little bit heavier run. A couple have been a little bit heavier pass. But when you look at the statistics, it's 50-50. His concepts are good. It's just a matter of, do the quarterbacks and the players really know all the nuances of the offense yet? And I don't think they do. And that's kind of a disadvantage to him and when he got here.
Right. I completely agree. Yeah, I like earlier in the year, you could tell he made adjustments, at halftime, even though we didn't really score any points in the Alabama game. But I know Tennessee and in Auburn, we made some adjustments. So I kind of like that so far. So, yeah, I just wish maybe Kirby would give him the keys a little more to the Ferrari, but it is what it is. I know Kirby likes to play defense sometimes.
Yeah, and on top of that too, again, I'm not one of these guys that likes to knock Stetson, because he's an overachiever, and as a Georgia fan and former player, you have to appreciate what he's done. And if he wasn't where he was, Georgia, we could have easily lost that Arkansas game and maybe one or two more of these other games. So I appreciate everything he does, but at the same time, his there is a ceiling there. So there's limitations to what Todd can do in his offense with Stetson being in that driver's seat. So, if you have a little bit more dynamic of a player that can do stuff, that's not going to have the balls batted, that can have a little bit, vertical game, a stronger arm, and all that stuff, you're going to see a more explosive offense, and Todd can call a different game. So you kind of have to take that into a perspective as well of who he's feeding this offense through. It's going through Stetson, and there's limitations there.
Yeah, completely agree. And then I know previously, last couple of years, you've been working with some receivers. Are you still kind of working as?
Yeah, this year has been a change. We've faced the COVID on every single level. So we got started with our off-season program, and we're at the different high schools that we do stuff and doing some individual stuff. And in every single place we were at, it got shut down. And then, a lot of coaches kind of wanted to keep stuff in-house this year because, they want to be able to monitor who's intermingling with who or whatever. So the off-season and football stuff really this year was slowed down. So I'm looking forward to us getting hopefully back to normal and being able to interact and help some of the high school guys on that level next year, because this year it wasn't what I've been used to.
Sure. Do you still have the same website? Was it what was that again?
Social media wise, it's Breakout Training. We're on Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. So we don't have a website yet, but it's all still there if you look up Breakout Training.
Okay, awesome. And then since it is Georgia-Florida week, I wanted to see if you could talk about this, see who this guy is right here. Oops, sorry. Sorry, I had that one teed up. Here it is. We'll play it and then give us a memory of, if you can remember that. I'm sure you remember this one.
Stafford back, lobs it left side for Bailey.
There it is.
Touchdown, Georgia.
What was that? More of a back shoulder throw from? I know that was a blackout. That was an awesome catch. Do you remember?
Yep. So I mean, by far the best atmosphere that I've ever been a part of. That scene, that environment was once in a lifetime. It was unbelievable feeling. That particular play was a check off at the line of scrimmage. We had a run call, and you'll see in that clip, Matt comes down and does and points one finger down was a check to a fade route. The corner got on top as I gave him a move, so Matt did throw a back shoulder, perfect placement of the ball. I was fortunate to go up and make a play and have a big score in that game.
That was awesome. Would you say that's the loudest maybe environment you played in? I know it was.
Yeah, that environment as a home game was by far the loudest. And I would say it would rival I wouldn't be able to tell which one was louder, but it would rival LSU. In 2003, we went to LSU when I was a freshman. And those two, that night and that LSU night, was extremely loud. Of course, it was a lot better playing on offense with a home crowd versus at LSU. They were always loud when we were on the field as an offense. So
that's awesome. And then let's see, one more because it is Georgia-Florida week. Sorry about that. Keep hitting it. Stop. Sorry. It is a clip. Bear here with me. Please don't know. Here we go. If you remember this one, tried to find one where's got you here. Sorry, delay. Do you remember this one?
yes.
2nd down and 10.
Not the best YouTube video. It is what it is.
Florida brings a man from the corner. Across the middle, Sean Bailey. 1st down at the 25.
And I think he had 3 catches for 44 yards. So that was a great. What was that, more of a post or?
Yeah, that was a skinny. In film review, we felt like on the skinny post we could get in between the corner and the safety. As you can see, that safety was coming over. So if it was just a regular post, we would have ran right into that safety. So we keep it skinny, and Matt would fit it right in that little pocket in their zone coverage. So we took advantage of that a couple times in this game.
Yeah, I believe he had 3 catches, like 44 yards. I believe he led them in receptions, and I think Momass had a big, like, one for 84. That one was 14.
Yeah, Mo had a long touchdown, if my memory serves me correct. Yeah, this was, in my opinion, this was the game that changed Georgia's fortune in Jacksonville. We won a couple years prior. I think we won in 2004, and it was the first win in a long time. But we lost in 2005 and 2006, and it's still, the monkey wasn't off of Georgia's back from that win in 2004. But I think this 2007, and I kind of alluded earlier about Dan Mullen and getting his team hyped and all that stuff. What Coach Rick did for us that game is he encouraged us to do that celebration and kind of break out of that stigma of here we go to Jacksonville, we're going to have another close loss type thing. Yeah. And, of course, we've lost a couple games, since then in Jacksonville. But I don't think the players nowadays, I don't think when they go to Jacksonville and they play Florida, they don't have the mindset of the Georgia teams that were in the 90s and the early 2000s. They go there knowing that they're going to win, each and every year, whereas, those earlier teams went in there thinking of something bad was going to happen this week. I think that 2007 game was the catalyst to getting the program to where we're at as far as this Georgia-Florida rivalry.
Yeah, I rewatched it last night, and it was just awesome, and it definitely pumped them up. And I guess if you watch it, you could see Rick smiling the rest of the game. So he almost had that – I started calling him Evil Rick after that. So I like kind of the confidence and the swag he had, which was awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was going to ask, I think I asked you last year. So I know like Kirby and Mike Griffith, who's the Dog Nation Daily, he's always on there. Do you favor it always being in Jacksonville? Kirby and him keep saying that's taken away from recruiting. Why can't we go to the swamp? They come to Athens. Or do you like it still staying in Jacksonville and kind of having that tradition?
Yep. So the average college career player comes in is 4 years.
Right.
So I would love a 4-year circuit where you play in Atlanta 1 year, you play in Jacksonville 1 year, you play in Athens 1 year, and you play in Gainesville 1 year. Yeah. That allows you to still keep the cocktail party in Jacksonville, which is a lot of history there. By playing in Atlanta, you kind of give us an advantage of not having to travel out of state. So it kind of mirrors and rivals the Jacksonville setting. And then the home and home, playing in Athens, where now you can have recruits come to Athens for that game, and then playing in Gainesville and having Florida being able to have recruits come to that game. Because I think it's unfortunate. I played 4 years, and I never got an opportunity to go to Gainesville. And that's the Swamp is a historic place, and you play in the SEC. Part of the reason to be able to go and play these big time road games and at these different venues and all that stuff. So if I was in control, that's what I would do. I'd do that 4-game cycle.
I do like that. That's awesome. And then I guess talking about that, one last question. What would you say favorite visiting stadium or favorite away place you played at? Of course, Athens is a great place to play. What would you say maybe your best experience or stadium?
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier. Unfortunately, we lost an extremely close game at LSU. Right. But just as being a bushy-eyed young freshman, Fred Gibson actually got hurt in practice that week, so it was going to be my first start. And going into what I say is the real Death Valley in Louisiana, LSU. It was a night game. On the Richter scale, it was a earthquake. How much that place was moving and the noise and all that stuff. The atmosphere was crazy. Coming out of the locker room, they had the tiger in the cage.
Yeah, I wanted to ask that. How was that? Yeah.
I mean, it was cool because everybody always says how docile that tiger is and all that stuff. And I don't know what they did to him that day because when we came out, he was at the cage and he was roaring. He was up that night. Right. And it was cool. It was and like I said, if we would have been able to come out with a win, it would have been by far my best experience at Georgia. Unfortunately, we lost, but it was still. When anyone asked me what the toughest environment, what the best environment outside of Athens was, that's my go-to.
That's awesome. Do they do anything? I always heard like maybe do they yell or anything to the fans when you get off the bus, the opposing team, or is it just a cage thing? I just always heard
No, they're there. As soon as you walk off the bus, they're right on top of you. They're saying stuff. It's
raging
cage. The minute you're there, it's rocking the whole time. You're out there in pre warm-ups. They're there. They're chanting. David Green was the quarterback. We're in the huddle. And as a receiver in the huddle, you line up one person away from the quarterback, and I can't hear what he's saying. I'm having to halfway lip read to figure out what play we're running. That's how loud it was.
Right. Yeah, that's on my bucket list. Hopefully, I'll be able to make it there. But always, it looks crazy, and I heard it's one of the loudest stadiums ever. So yeah, that's awesome. All right. Well, I appreciate it. I don't want to keep you too late, but I really appreciate you coming on again. And hopefully the Dawgs can get a win this weekend.
For sure, man. Thanks. Anytime you want me, I'm always available.
All right. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. Go Dawgs.
Yes, sir.